see a screen.
Or maybe mine up there.
All right, rolling the intro.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Seth Joyner Show. We're here for another podcast after an Eagles win. Hey, make sure you guys are sharing the show, turning on your notifications, and more than anything, please subscribe to the Seth Joyner Show channel. Got a lot going on. Obviously, the podcast tonight on Eagles Game Day. We have the pre and post game show that's live here on the YouTube channel. An hour and a half before kickoff and right after the game is over with myself, Derek Gunn, and Mark Farzetta. And then if you missed the Seth Joyner Show, Seth Joyner TV show during the week, which airs on Wednesday and Thursdays, you can always catch it here on the channel as well. Got a great show planned for tonight. We're going to talk about, the 300-pound gorilla in the room, Nick Sirianni's blow up on the sideline. Which I don't really care about, to be honest with you. I'm going to bring Ike Reese on in the second half hour, and we'll chat about, those same things and the state of the Eagles and what he thinks. Hey, listen, I know that everybody, all the fans are a little, pissed off right now because of how the Eagles played on Sunday. But to be honest with you, and I know some of you guys aren't going to like it because it seems like you guys like it more when I rip the Eagles than when I just tell you that there's this level of, hope and this level of improvement expectation that I have for the team. Everybody expected for the Eagles to come out and just smash the Cleveland Browns last week. The quarterback is struggling. The offense is anemic. The defense is beat up and injured. But listen, they still got players and they got pride too. And at the end of the day, they weren't just going to come in here and lay down and give the Eagles a win. The Eagles were going to have to go out and take it. And I'll say this: yes, coming out of the bye week, we expected a lot more creativity. We expected a lot more explosion out of the offense. But you know what? This football team needed more than anything. They needed a victory. They needed to get above 500 again. And most importantly, we need to see Jalen Hurts play a game in which he doesn't turn the football over. And no matter what you think about how the game started, yes, they struggled. The offense struggled through the first, quarter of that football game. But I think if you're really honest with yourself, and I'm trying to be honest and practical about the situation, you lost AJ and you lost Devontae for 2 weeks. You lose Lane Johnson for which is 2 weeks. And I think AJ may have even been out longer. The first couple of passes by Jalen just looked like the timing was off. You had the back shoulder fade that Jalen threw, and all of a sudden, AJ, they weren't on the same page. I think Jalen started off 1 for 6 or something crazy like that. The timing and the rhythm was just off. And I know that most of you guys are going to say, hey, they had 2 weeks to practice. Well, Nick gave them off, the first week. They were back in practice. And yeah, they had some time to practice and get together. But I also think that, game speed and practice speed are 2 different speeds. So as good as it may look in practice, and I know some of you guys, the old adage, Seth, you say it all the time, you practice like you play. There's some truth to that. But when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, the speed in which the game is played and the speed in which the quarterback has to decipher things and make decisions is a hell of a lot different than in practice. That's just a fact, okay? So now let's fast forward, offensively, and let's talk about, what happened offensively. I believe that the Eagles are at a place now where the running game is going to become a lot more prevalent. They did come out and try to establish the run. Saquon Barkley had, 12 carries for 42 yards in the first half alone. So I think that understanding that they need to be more balanced is there. Jalen Hurts was 9 of 16 in the first half alone for 137 yards and a 22-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown. But there's some other things that's kind of troubling me about the Eagles, and that's the offensive line. The offensive line to me kind of looks like they're not playing at the top level that we expect for them to play at. Why do I say that? Jalen Hurts is getting pressure up the middle. A lot of what you're seeing is in their passing situations. Yes, he's trying to sit in the pocket. There were times where he was turning the ball over when he sat in the pocket and threw from the pocket. Sometimes even stayed in the pocket too long, and things didn't work out. But if you really look at this game, you can look at the push that teams are beginning to get in the middle, and you're going to see this against teams who have solid defensive fronts, like the Cleveland Browns. They pushed the pocket, which meant that Jalen had to flush out of the pocket more times than not, rather than just sitting in there and waiting for routes to develop. The other thing is the ineffectiveness of the run game. Now the Eagles ran the ball a tally 32 times for 116 yards. I believe that's 3.2 yards per carry. Not overly impressive for a team that really tried to run the football. Now, I get it. You got to take into consideration, Jalen Hurts, his 14 carries. And you factor into that how many were actually quarterback runs. There were a few quarterback runs, but you had, 3 or 4 tush pushes for first downs. You had him scrambling out of the pocket. So it's kind of hard to decipher exactly how many plays were actually called run plays, including Jalen's runs, and how many, were just straight up, run plays as far as the running backs are concerned. But the Eagles are having a hard time running the football with Saquon up the middle. I think that they're much more effective off guard, off tackle, and outside than they are up the middle. They're just not moving people the way they have in subsequent weeks. And I believe that in order for this offense to really get going the way that they need and the way that they want it to get going, they have to run the football, and they have to run the football much more effectively and much more efficiently. Jordan Mailata is going to be a big loss, just like the big loss, not having Lane for the last 2 weeks with the concussion. It's a big deal when you don't have your top guys. You lose some continuity. But Fred Johnson stepped in and played well in the absence of Jordan Mailata. We'll wait and see how that's going to pan out and how that's going to work out, because to be honest with you, I think that Jordan's going to be out quite some time. The way he looked walking off the field after that game was over, it did not look good as far as I was concerned. The other thing is, the play calling and the creativity. I think that's one of the things that kind of plagues the Eagles in a lot of instances. Most of the success that they had, particularly throwing the ball, it came out of 12 personnel, 1 back and 2 tight ends. Grant Calcaterra had a very good day, 6 receptions, 4 receptions, I should say, on 4 targets for 67 yards. We're going to miss Dallas Goedert. He's another one that got injured with a hammy. Don't know how severe that is and how long we're going to be missing him. But that's big, because Dallas is the one tight end that they have that is, the double threat. He's a great blocker and he's a great receiver. Grant Calcaterra is more of a receiving tight end. So now that's going to hurt in the running game as well, when you don't have that presence of a tight end that can really block and block efficiently, across the board. What else on the offensive side? I would just love to see the offense be a hell of a lot more versatile and a lot more creative in what they do. I'm not here to beat up Nick Sirianni and talk about, his role in the offense and what he's done as far as, it came out today that he's made some suggestions to Vic Fangio about how they want to, about a particular play or something of that nature. But the thing that plagues me is when this offense is going bad, it looks a lot like it did last year. And that kind of tells me in a lot of regards that this is some of the things that Nick Sirianni was trying to do with the offense last year. I thought that they brought Kellen Moore in here to run and implement and to install his offense, some more motion, some more play action pass. Jalen had a couple of play action passes in this game that looked phenomenal. It looked really, really good. And I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see their plays more coordinated, where you're running the play out of a specific formation, and then you've got two pass plays off of that same look. So the defense is anticipating run out of that look, but you go play action pass, and you got plays that can hurt them in the passing game, and vice versa. Set your offense up in a way where you got multiple, formations that makes it look like they've got a specific play out of that formation, but you give them a run or pass out of that same look. To me, that's just great coordination, in my opinion. And when I look at the Eagles and I look at their offense doesn't really look all that creative. It's pretty predictable. They run a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends to one side, 2 wide receivers to the other side. I'm going to break that play down because that's not the first time that 45-yard touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. That's not the first time that they've implemented that. We've seen Dallas Goedert run that play. We've seen Devontae run it earlier in the game, probably against some zone coverage that, they got a big first down for him. But if I'm breaking down film, and that's what I do, if I'm breaking down film, after 4 or 5 games, and I repeatedly see that same formation, and there's not a whole lot of plays that vary off of it, I'm thinking teams at some point are going to clue into it and give you a man look and then turn around and flip the script by the time you snap the ball and go to a zone look. So when you see that crosser coming across, that corner sitting on the other side in cover 2, and that's not going to end well for Devontae. I'm just calling it right now because as a defensive coordinator, you got to be thinking along those lines that, hey, they're hurting a lot of people with this. We can make some hay here if we show them man, go with the man. If they give you a little motion and try to figure out what you're in, or we can give them a cover 0 look, and when the ball is snapped, run our safeties out of there, go to halves, and roll that corner up on the other side. There's a way to defend it, and at some point in time, they're going to be able to stop it. So what's your adjustment off of that play is basically what I'm saying as far as Nick Sirianni is concerned. Just want to touch on Nick for a minute. Listen, I don't really care about all the hoopla that's going on about what he did on the sideline, because you know what? Let's just be honest, okay? If you were in his position, how would you have handled the situation, okay? If someone came to your job and was yelling, "Hey, fire Nick. Nick needs to go," and that's all you heard, at some point in time, the ego in you, the pride in you, is going to make you respond to that, And in the emotion of the minute, maybe Nick responded to it. It wasn't a good look. Everybody knows, but I'm not here to defend him. I'm not here to condone what he did. I'm just saying that the dude is human, and he's been under a lot of fire, a lot of heat over the last, 4 or 5 weeks. It's natural that he would respond that way. Do we want our head coach to respond that way? Absolutely not. We want him poised, calm, cool, and collected. But we know that he's a fiery guy, and he's going to react in situations like this sometimes. And his players love and enjoy the fire. I'm sure he's going to be better for it. He'll deal with it differently down the road. But what we should be talking about is this win and this performance, last Sunday. That's where the focus really should be. The offensive output wasn't what we wanted to be. But it's in small baby steps, I believe this offense will continue to get better week after week after week. Baby steps, okay? This offense has struggled all season long, and here we are in week 5 after the bye, expecting them to come out and just blow the doors off and have this tremendous offensive output. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it takes baby steps. Your quarterback is trying to find his way and figure out how he can stop turning the ball over and how he can play much more effectively and much more efficiently. I say, stop trying to throw the ball downfield all the time. Let's take what the defense is giving us. Let's run the football. Let's go to the short to intermediate passing routes. Let's get Jalen comfortable and confident once again. And then once we start to get there, now let's ramp the offense up, to where we're trying to put up 300 yards passing and 4 touchdown passes a game. Let's jump over on the defensive side of the ball before I get to the whiteboard. I got to ask my producer. I got a new setup here, so I can't see how much time I actually got or how much it show on it. So I'm gonna have him flash that to me in a second, so I know where to break. But as far as the defense is concerned, I was ecstatic with what I saw out of Vic Fangio and his plan for the Cleveland Browns. Now, the question is, can he stay with it, or was this an opportunity to exploit a quarterback who was struggling in an offense that was 100% anemic? They were aggressive. The insertion of Cooper DeJean into the starting lineup was a massive hit. He was very creative how he brought him off the edge and how he dropped, Nolan Smith in the coverage to confuse the protection and things like that. These are some of the things that I've been hoping that Vic would do. He was much more aggressive, blitzing, much more aggressive, playing the cornerbacks up and the safeties up, challenging wide receivers at the line of scrimmage, challenging them in the routes early. I think that this is the way that you play, and if you can bring pressure, especially when you're playing against a quarterback that really doesn't like to run, you can speed up his clock, speed up his decision-making, and force him into doing some things that he might not necessarily want to do. The pass rush got there, albeit, listen, they're not going to be a great pass rushing team out of their 4-man front, so they're going to have to come with some 5-men. They're going to have some diversity in how they get to the quarterback. But the fact of the matter is they had 5 sacks this past game, the biggest output they've had since last year, I want to say. And however you got to get it done, you get it done, because I've always said that there's a symbiotic relationship between the passing game, how you control the pass game, and how you control the run game. Okay? Let me rephrase that. How you cover and how you pass rush. When the coverage is good, the pass rush is going to be better. When the pass rush starts to win, that means that the coverage is going to be better. I'm not overly overjoyed with what I've seen out of the defensive run game. Although, Cleveland only had 100 yards on the dot, they only ran it 25 times. That's 4 yards per carry. And, your 2 inside linebackers, your 2 starting linebackers had, Nakobe Dean had 11 tackles. Zach Bond had 8 tackles, and they led the way in tackles. I think it's time that Vic Fangio, he's allowing all these young players to now play. Cooper DeJean is now starting. You got Quinyon Mitchell that's starting. You had Darius Slade that went down, and Isaiah Rodgers came in. He got nicked up for a minute. Keely Ringo came in and laid some wood, on a player down the sideline. I just think it's time to start letting these young guys play to figure out what you actually have. And I think this is the time for Jeremiah Trotter to start getting some reps at middle linebacker, because Nakobe Dean still looks lost, man. He looks lost to me. In the run game, he doesn't really understand where he needs to fit. He's still missing tackles. The Eagles were much better in tackles last week, but Nakobe Dean missed quite a few, even in the open field. I think you have to start putting some stress on some of these starters that feel like they've got their jobs locked up, and create some competition at these positions. Because I'm always about performance over position, and I'm always in favor of meritocracy. The best players should be on the field. I don't care where you're drafted. I don't care what the expectations of the organization is. Put the best players out there, because the best players are going to give you the opportunity to win. These young players that are working hard, that are preparing hard, that are productive when they get their chances on the field. Milton Williams, Ajomo, Booker the fourth. These guys are putting some good work in. And the better they play, the more reps I feel like they deserve to be out there playing. Because in some regards, some of these some of these starters just clearly, in my opinion, are not getting it done. And the way that you either motivate them to step it up or step their asses out is by allowing their backups to come in, see what they can do. And if they give you good play, then you start rewarding them with much more playing time. So I'm 20 minutes in. All right. Let's go to the board. And then before, I go to break and bring Ike on, I will, I'll, talk about a little bit more. So this is the formation. What did I do here? This is the formation. Uh-oh, something's going on with my board, man. Safety, a corner over here in coverage. Slot corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So you had your linebackers walked up in the gap. You had your safety ready. Well, let's take this guy out of the picture because this is actually what they did. They brought this guy off the edge. Okay. And they slid the protection. The safety was here. He stepped down on Devontae. And this is the guy that got picked. But you had the two tight ends come across, and they basically set picks here. Devontae came across, so when his guy was going, he got picked off here. He catches the ball here, and he's out the gate. Okay? Now, they also ran this play with Dallas Goedert in this same position. They went two tight ends. They put Dallas Goedert in the slot. A.J. Brown outside. They ran the same situation here. In that long, I believe it was the Saints game. Okay, Dallas came across, picked off his man. Jalen hit him here, and he ran it down the sideline, got ran down. So this is a lot of of what you've been seeing, or what the Eagles have been having success with. So at the end of the day, if I'm a defense coordinator and I'm looking at this, okay. Let's talk about, how you defend this. Okay? So, all day long, I can line guys up, however I want them. However I want them to be. I can walk this safety down. I got my linebackers in here. I'm going to have them sugar like they're coming. I got my safety down here. I got my slot corner. He's acting like he's coming. I got my safety here. Cornerback, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who am I missing? Oh, the safety over here. Okay, let's take him out of there. All right. So I can give the same look like we're coming here. Okay, and run this guy to the halves. Run this guy to the halves. Okay, and play my cover two the same exact way that I've been playing. Okay, and this is what I was talking about earlier. If the Eagles aren't careful, because you're still going to get the same look for the picks here, and you're going to get Devontae coming across, and Jalen will throw him the ball right here, and you got this squat corner right here waiting on him. That's a kill shot. It's a kill shot all day long. So what I like to see, is what do we have out of this look other than, trying to free Devontae on this play right here. All day long, I want to take this guy across like he's going to block, like he's going to pick, bring Devontae across the same, and don't take him to the flat, but take him up the field. Now take this guy and run him on a corner here. Now you put either this safety that's back here or this corner in conflict, because the minute that the corner sees him go up the field, he's going to settle. And even to take it a step further, I'll put Saquon here and release him to the flat to bring the safety up. So now, the cornerback rather. So now I got this safety in conflict. I got Calcaterra on a corner route. I got Devontae on the predictive crossing route, but now he takes it up the field, which is going to make this safety have to come over and honor that. Now I got Calcaterra on the post route on the backside all day long. So this is what I'm talking about, these opportunities to do different things out of different looks, to take away some of the predictability of what the Eagles have been doing over the last couple of weeks. This formation right here has been a bread and butter situation for them, because you want to know something? The Saquon Barkley 65-yard run out of this same formation came out of this same formation, to be honest with you. And they ran it to the two tight end set to that side. I just like to see a little more diversity in their offense. They don't have to present diversity here, but I like to see some diversity across the board. My man Ike is ready to go, so I'm going to go to a quick break soon. We come back, I'm going to bring him in, and we're going to chat it up. You know it's going to be real. You always bring the fire. All right, be back in a sec.
When you open the Bet Parks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the anticipation of another face card, the thrill of an extra spin, and the pure joy of a jackpot. It's all your favorite games at your fingertips. Plus, get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. Bet Parks.
At Pond Lee Hockey, we're neither a pond nor a hockey team. In fact, I don't even know how to skate.
Cut.
We're the injury law firm that you want fighting for you.
With our vast network of attorneys across the country, we know the playbook on injury law.
It's how Pond Lee Hockey recovered billions of dollars for more than 100,000 injured and disabled workers.
And we know we can do the same for you.
So give Pond Lee Hockey a call. No other law firm will fight harder for you.
And you'll never pay a dime until we win.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come, join our team.
Welcome back, guys. let's kick it into high gear. Enough of me. I got my man Ike Reese. You guys know him, former Eagle linebacker. Now on the WIP afternoon show. Going to join me for the last 30 minutes. We're going to chop it up and have some fun. Ike, what's happening, my brother?
Big bro, what's going on, Seth? I'm good, man.
Man, you got it, man. Listen, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's the hot topic in the city right now. Everybody wants to talk about what's going on with Nick Sirianni. To be honest with you, man, I don't really care, man. I think we lost sight of the fact that this team won a game on Sunday, that the offense played well. Jalen didn't turn the ball over, and the defense played outstanding, only yielding 244 yards of total offense, like they should have against a team like that, and really only giving up 9 points on the day, even though the scoreboard says 16. But give me your take on Nick, and then we'll jump into the rest, man.
Well, let me just start off by saying I'm pretty much in agreement with you. I think when I say we, I'm just speaking as a fan base. We have made this such a huge story, not just the fans, but even national media has made this such a huge story. And to be honest with you, I think it was something that was not necessary. If I'm Nick Sirianni, the last thing I want to do as a head coach is draw attention away from my team's success, particularly, and what they've done on the field, to have people focus on me and sort of what my antics are, which is what happened after the game. And that's really what I take away from what happened Sunday, is that it's a shame. And I know Nick has apologized and he sort of walked it back, and I commend him for doing that. But if there's one thing that I think he would certainly agree upon, is that his job as a head coach, especially when your team is coming off a bye week and played a solid football game, not a great game. There's obviously things they need to work on, but the fact you get a win coming out of the bye week after the way you went into the bye week with that loss to the Bucs, the most disappointing thing was that, whether coach had good intentions in addressing some fans behind the bench or not, it took away from what his team did on the field. And for 2 days straight, that's what we've been talking about versus what happened in the game and how the team played, some things they improved upon and things they need to continue to work on to improve upon moving forward. So much of it has been a distraction. And I know that's not what he wants, but that's what has happened. And as much as I like Nick Sirianni, I've been a supporter of his. I try to back him when I feel like it's necessary. In this case, Coach, your intentions may have been for the betterment of your team, but this takes away from what you did during the bye week, the work, and what they did out on the field Sunday. What we should be talking about is how Jalen was able to get through a game, played well, made big plays, took care of the football, ran the offense, made some big throws, made some timely throws, things of that nature. The defense didn't give up a touchdown in the game. Those should be the things that we're talking about for the last 2 days. And it's unfortunate that we spent a lot of time on Coach Sirianni and his interaction with whatever the fans behind the bench were after the game. And I know that's not something he wants. That's not his intention. But when you let your emotions get away from you, this is the result of that.
So I know I said I didn't want to dwell on it, but I just want to throw a scenario out there because we both been in a similar situation, just in a different realm, so to speak. Somebody did something to you in the game, and you retaliated, knowing that you was going to get a 15-yarder, but your ego and your pride just would not let you not retaliate. You did it and got the penalty. I liken it to that. But I also liken it to, somebody coming to WIP while you in the station. Man, WIP and they in the booth. Man, they need to fire Ike Reese. They need to get his ass up out of there.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
There's a side of you at some point in time where you're gonna be like, I can't. Now I'm not trying to condone it. I'm not trying to defend him. I'm not saying he was right. I'm not saying he's wrong. What I'm trying to do is shed a little bit of light on it and put it in a perspective so people can see it, so we can tamp it down and get away from that. I'll back on with the team, what they accomplished on Sunday.
No, I totally agree. I mean, he's human. He's heard a lot of negativity surrounding his role with the team, his impact on the team. The guy doesn't get any credit for the wins, but when they lose, he gets all the blame for the losses. So, and he's a competitor. He's a former athlete as well, Seth. He didn't make it to the level that we made it, but he's a former athlete himself, and I'm sure that competitive nature is in him to want to speak up and defend himself or defend his team. So I totally agree with you. I think we, meaning guys that have sort of, whether I've been in that position myself or a teammate of mine or a former head coach of mine, as a backup player, I didn't necessarily get put in that spotlight, but I certainly watch my teammates, the quarterback, my head coach at times get criticized unjustifiably so, and you want to at least speak up and defend yourself or speak up for your teammates. So I totally get it. I to be honest with you, I commend the players for sort of having his back. You listen, you never want to have this thing where it's you versus the fans. We know if it wasn't for fans, we wouldn't be able to enjoy the lifestyles that we enjoy if it wasn't for fans.
Plus, you can't win in that fight either.
You know you're not winning that fight. You're not winning that fight. And so I totally get that. But he had a moment of being human, and I'll give him credit for sort of, he manned up and he apologized, and that's what fans wanted to hear. And so I think it's a non-topic moving forward. I don't think we're going to see that again because I don't think Jeffrey Lurie wanted that either. So I'm sure he's been talked with inside the organization. I don't think we're going to see it again. But again, I don't think it's something that divides the team. I actually believe the players have tried to sort of come in in support of him and like, yeah, that's our coach, man. He wears his emotions on his sleeves. We got his back. So it's you know how it is, Seth, as players, sometimes it's us against everybody else. And it's only you guys in the building versus everybody on the outside. And sometimes that can be a positive for a team.
So listen, let's talk about the game. I'm in the camp that, when your quarterback is broke and struggling the way that Jalen has struggled over the last 6 games of last year and the first 4 games of this season, that you got to kind of change your course of action and how you plan to attack things. They looked like they came out in the first half and attempted to run the ball. Saquon had 12 carries for 40-something yards. They had some balance. Jalen only really threw the ball 16 times in the first half. That number is a hell of a lot better than, I could ever hope for because I just want 65-30, past the run. But I'm of the opinion, Ike, that, you never want to talk about your franchise quarterback who you paying $51 million on average per year being a game manager. But when your quarterback is struggling, you got to figure out a way to get him confident again, to get him comfortable again. And I think that, this approach that they had, they ran him a little more, so he felt a little more engaged in the game from that perspective. They gave him some short to intermediate routes to start the game off before they actually started going bombs away down the field. I'm okay with him managing the game, especially with the next 3 opponents that they got lined up. Listen, these next 3 games are winnable games. These teams aren't juggernauts. You got the Giants, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. Okay, these are all games that the offense and the defense can get well on. So I'm not in that camp that, all is lost because you still got 12 games to figure it out and get it right. But as far as the quarterback and the offense is concerned, I thought that this potentially could be the launching point that we expected after the Saints game for this team. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So this is where the offense can take off now that you got all your players back, minus Jordan Mailata for a couple of weeks and potentially Dallas Goedert for a couple of weeks. The defense looks a lot more aggressive. So this could be that launching point that we're looking for. So let Jalen continue to play the way that he played for the next couple of weeks till we get to the Dallas game, and you potentially have to open it up. Make Saquon the focal point to begin with. Go with some play action passes. Let's get Saquon in the pistol, not so much in the shotgun to one side, because when he's on one side, the only thing he can do is either run a pitch to that side or run across the formation. That makes life easy for any defense when you're trying to stop a prolific weapon like he is. But I'm okay with him being a game manager for the next couple of weeks so you can get his confidence back and get him back to where you need him to be before you ramp him up and give him the full boat again.
Yeah, bro. I've been talking about this for like 2 or 3 weeks. I think it was after it might have been after the Atlanta game or maybe after the Saints game. Maybe it was after the Saints game, where I pretty much said the same thing. I said, I need Kellen Moore to we gotta dial back the expectation, right? Everybody had high hopes coming in. You got these grand ideas of what you think the offense could be like because you have all these weapons at your disposal. And so in training camp and OTAs, you want to do all these different things because it's unlimited possibilities. And then reality sets in. And then you got to say to yourself, okay, how do I adjust to get the most and the best out of my guys? And I completely agree with you, Seth. I think the best course of action moving forward in the immediate future is to, quote unquote, turn Jalen into a guy who knows how to manage the game. Mm-hmm. When the opportunities to make big plays are there, like when you get some one-on-ones with AJ on the outside and maybe you got a single high safety, okay, you can take your shots when those opportunities present itself. But you got an awesome offensive line. You got an awesome running back. Lean on those guys. The play action, we know as defenders, man, you run that ball 2, 3, 4 times in a row, we got to start getting downhill fast, especially when you got a running back like Saquon Barkley. So in our minds, you give us that play action, we're trying to fill holes. We're trying to get downhill to stop the run. Next thing you know, you're able to hit the intermediate passes behind that second level of defense. But that starts with your running game. And that's where you can't necessarily let your pride get in the way. And I think it has a little to do with Jalen, because I know Jalen has the ability to audible and change plays at times when he sees certain things. But I think it really starts with Kellen Moore and the philosophy and what they want to do as an offense when you go into each game. If Kellen Moore is okay with saying, you know what, let me just get the we need sustained drives. We need to put points on the board. We need to figure out to have positive reinforcement from what we've worked on all week in practice. It doesn't do anybody any good to work on all these plays, and then you get out there on Sunday and you're going for it on 4th down when you should be kicking a field goal instead of getting points. Like things that like we got to stop doing that type of stuff and saying it's okay to take 3 points early in the game, just so that the offense feels good about what they're doing. They got some points, they can build off of that. And the talent on the offensive side of the ball is so good, you're eventually going to get your plays. You're going to get your big plays because the skilled guys are just too good for you not to get that. But we can't force it as play callers. And with Jalen at the quarterback position, he has to be patient and say, you know what? If they want to give me a little 10-yard completion here, 8 yards there, I'm okay with that. And I'll just matriculate the ball down the field and we'll get points. Eventually, they're going to have to get out of that. So I don't want to be redundant with everything you just said because you hit on a lot of great points. But, yeah, I've been asking – how about this, Seth? I've been asking for what the Buffalo Bills have done with Josh Allen. That's since when they got rid of Ken Dorsey last year and Joe Brady took over. We know Josh Allen is elite from a quarterback measurable standard. And sometimes his talent can get him in trouble because he has overconfidence in that talent and he was turning the ball over. But you look at since Joe Brady took over as the offensive coordinator, they've asked him to do a little bit less with his arm. They've leaned on the running game, whether it be him running the ball or James Cook running the ball. And his touchdown to turnover ratio has skyrocketed. I mean, before Joe Brady took over, Josh Allen led the league in turnovers since he came into the league because he's so addicted to the big play. So they managed to turn him into somewhat of a game manager, but when they need him to make big plays, they don't have a problem calling on it. And look at his record since Joe Brady has taken over, man. They're 4-2 right now. They just added Amari Cooper. So I'm looking at the Eagles and I'm saying, maybe we need to dial this thing back for a couple weeks, stack up some wins, and then once the offense gets more comfortable, Jalen gets more familiar with everything the offense sort of entails, we could be a much better team the second half of the season going into the playoffs. Like, I really believe that. We got 12 games left to go. We got a favorable part of the schedule coming up. We can stack some wins, get some confidence, and we could be a team nobody really wants to see come December and January.
Ike, how about that just become a philosophy for how you run, your offense? Because, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, Tom Brady, made a living like that. Just taking what the defense is giving you, moving the chains, moving the ball down the field, trying to score, potentially scoring every single possession. What's wrong with that? Because,
Nothing.
I still see some glimmers of, last year when we get zero coverage that we want to go all goes. Like right before the half ended, it's 3rd and 1. Saquon doesn't step over the line. Okay. I see you shaking your head because I know you saying the same exact thing. I'm like, they show you zero coverage, with 8 guys at the line of scrimmage. Now, granted, if Saquon picks up his guy the way he's supposed to, it's probably a touchdown on the post route to Devontae. But why even get greedy like that? You look out to your left. Look out to your left, okay? You got A.J. Brown lined up on a cornerback. They're 7 yards off the ball, and it's 3rd and 1. Every quarterback in the National Football League, Ike, every last one of them that I know who's got any kind of experience is going to look over there and see that, and they're just going to throw the ball out there.
Real quick.
Now,
throw it right over there.
I get it. The play design, you looking at Devontae on the post route. But if I got my number one guy out here one-on-one and ain't nobody in the hole, it's highly likely that if you throw that ball out there, AJ going to make that guy miss the tackle. And if he make him miss the tackle, he's still going to score or get close to scoring. You understand what I'm saying? So why not take the layup?
Exactly. And how about even if he tackles him, you got 3 timeouts. You got timeouts. So that to me is exactly, that's where you're saying to yourself, okay, if I want to make a play there, and then if I'm Jalen, I got to know, man, number 11 is over here one-on-one. You know he can't be guarded. He can't be guarded. But Seth, I'll tell you this. My complaint on that sequence of plays, why didn't we run the ball on 2nd and 1? Just pick up the first down, and now you got another set of downs. You got 3 timeouts. We wasted a timeout before the play, and then we came back, and Jalen got sacked on the next play.
Well, I think what it was, I believe that Jalen changed the play at the line of scrimmage, to be honest with you. Because once he saw zero coverage, because this is, again, I talk about philosophy and mentality. The minute that we see zero coverage, no safety in the hole, the first thing we think is explosive play.
Go deep.
Now, there's a time and place for that, but not in that situation where you're in position to get points because you get the field goal block because you don't convert. Now you got to kick the long field goal. Now all of a sudden you lose. You got a 10 to 14 point swing right there.
That game changed.
I mean, you've got the Cleveland Browns in a position where they hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
Okay, but you make such a bad decision in that situation that now all of a sudden you go from either 13-3 or 14-3 to 10-10 at halftime, and they got the ball coming out in the second half. I just don't understand, the mentality. You don't have to be greedy all the time. The explosive and the big plays are going to always be there to be had.
Yeah.
But you got to set it up first. You got to get the lead, get a big enough lead. I mean, listen, how much did Jim Schwartz blitz in the second half? I ain't seen Jim Schwartz ever blitz that much the whole time he was here.
He was here, exactly. Yeah, he didn't blitz
he was bringing it because guess what? They forced him into a position where they had to all of a sudden bring pressure. That's where you get your big plays. That's the 45-yard touchdown to Devontae. That's the one-on-one, the 22-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown. But when you try to force the ball down the field in situations where it's not warranted, I just don't understand. This team has suffered so much through that all the last year, and yet and still, that's still the mindset and the philosophy in certain situations. And I just don't get it, Ike.
Well, you wonder, here's what you wonder. You wonder, is that a Kellen Moore thing, right? He's a coordinator. I'm sure he wants to be a head coach at some point. Is it him trying to prove what his offense can do? That's one sort of case. Then the other is it an organizational thing? Meaning, like, the organization, they want to throw the ball. They want these explosive plays. They want to be able to do that. So I just wonder how much of that is sort of their mindset going in. Like, do they think about death by 1,000 paper cuts? Or do they feel like they need to make the big play right away, especially when they haven't been scoring a lot of points? See, we got this sort of defensive mentality where we don't mind playing football that way. Like we don't mind playing football that way. It's the way our thought process works. But these offensive guys, man, they want to prove how explosive the offense is. They want to prove, that they have the answers to all the tests, when in reality, the defenses in the league are starting to catch up to these offenses. Like the offenses just aren't as complicated anymore, and these defensive coordinators are too smart. They're starting to catch up to it.
I tell you what, case in point, I believe that if you look at the NFL across the board in this era of, it's a passing league, you're starting to see more teams start to run the football more than they ever have. You're kind of seeing a reverting back to, how the game used to be. And to be honest with you, it has to be that way because there's only a handful of quarterbacks out there that can throw the ball 40, 50 times a game without turning it over 3 or 4 times, which brings your percentage of winning way, way down. But I agree with your point. I've been saying it forever. I think it's a philosophy. On offense, their philosophy has always been, we want explosive plays. We want to throw the ball early, get a lead, then run the clock out by running the ball, in our 4-minute offense in the second half. Defensively, so if that's their mentality defensively, okay, then it's not that far-fetched that their mentality has to be along that same line from a defensive standpoint, because I've seen Vic Fangio play one aggressive game against the Packers, then come back with a less than aggressive game the next week. Then go to the Saints and play aggressive against Atlanta. They play very passive.
Yeah.
Then they go to Atlanta. They go to the Saints and they play hyper aggressively. They win that game when nobody thought that they had a prayer to win. Right. Then they go to Tampa Bay and they play passive again. Now they win this game coming out of the bye against the Browns in a real aggressive stance, And I guess this is a good place to segue into the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, because I thought the defense played outstanding, But from a philosophical standpoint, I believe that that's coming from up top. I believe that that's the way the Eagles want to play. If we're going to be explosive on the offensive side of the ball, then we got to not give up big plays on the defensive side of the ball, and let's bend but don't break between the 20s, and then play a lot more aggressively in the red zone. Okay, so that's just my thought on that. But on the defensive side,
and that ain't the type of defense we're used to watching. Yeah, we're not accustomed to watching that bend but don't break defense now.
I just don't. Sooner or later you can bend all you want, but sooner or later you're gonna break. You can't. I don't know what the average is of red zone efficiency in the National Football League, but it's got to be pretty damn high. So that means if you play with that long enough, it's going to wind up biting you.
It's going to get you.
But what Vic did last week, man, I was so thrilled and so happy with that. First of all, I love the fact that you put your second round draft pick in the game and put him in the starting role, Cooper DeJean. I thought he played extremely well. I also like the fact that you had your cornerbacks up playing a lot more aggressively and challenging people at the line of scrimmage. Your safety didn't do it early. On a 4th and 4, you had Gardner Johnson on Ndoku, and he was 8 yards off of him on a 4-yard route. I'm like, get up and challenge him. Later on in the game, they ran that same play, and he made a play on the ball and knocked it down. So they're learning slowly but surely. Your offense, your defense, your edge rushers play pretty damn good, But I think that's a combination of playing more aggressively on the back end. Now, still got to get the run game going. I mean, the run defense better, Ike. And I'm just going to tee it up, and I'm going to let you go the last couple of minutes because I'm trying to touch on everything. I need my defensive tackles to play better. I need more out of Davis and Carter. And guess what? Ojomo, Williams, Booker, they playing. So if they're going to keep playing, get them guys more playing time, Sure. But I think that symbiotic relationship between the pass rush and the coverage, if you get up and you challenge people, that's going to give you a chance to get home. If you're getting home, that's going to give you a chance to cover better on the back end. So I like what he's doing. I just hope that the philosophy from upstairs doesn't inhibit him from playing this way week in and week out. Go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And first of all, big bro, we got to be happy that we got some young talent in the cupboard there. We got some potential there with these young guys that I'm excited to watch them play over the next few years. And then we got Sidney Brown coming back soon. He's another guy that I've always liked as a player, so you're going to get him with the secondary. But yeah, I completely agree. I think everything with our defense, it starts up front. And when those boys up on that defensive line are dominating the line of scrimmage, I think it makes everybody else that much better on the back end. Now, listen, we benefited. Deshaun Watson holds onto the ball longer than he should. So we were able to take advantage of that. The Browns' offensive line, not that great. We're able to take advantage of that. I'm good with that. When a team has a weakness, we're supposed to take advantage of it. So I was happy with the 5 sacks. I was happy with the fact that we didn't give up an offensive touchdown to those guys. I still want to see us be better ball hawks, find a way to take that ball away from the opposing team's offense. Like, that's what an Eagles defense has always been known to do. It's like you got to be a turnover creating type of defense. But I think we're over the next few weeks, we're going to get a chance to see these young guys continue to grow. We've always thought this, that the defense needed some time. The offense needed to carry the team while the defense sort of figured out who they are and what they are as a defense. I like the young players. We got to get better at the linebacker position, getting off blocks, making tackles, that we still got a little leakage from time to time. And that area, I love our young guys in our secondary. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Those are the guys who are going to have to set the tone for us. Our defensive ends, we got to make the best of what we have right now at the defensive end. I don't think we have a quote-unquote elite pass rusher. Brandon gives us everything that he has going. Love BG. Josh Huff, I was happy he got a half a sack, so at least he was around the quarterback, and that's something we can build off of. Nolan Smith around the quarterback. He seems to me to be somebody who's just going to be a pass rush specialist who can only play on third down. So to your point, if Vic Fangio is sort of feels comfortable playing the style of defense they played this past Sunday, I think we'll be okay. So here's what I don't think he'll do it. Against Cincinnati, I don't think he would be confident enough against Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. But against the Browns offense and what we probably going to see with the Giants, I think we're going to see something similar to what we saw this past Sunday. I think Vic Fangio realizes that if you don't have a quarterback that I feel threatened, that can beat me with his arm, I'm gonna make you beat me another way. And I think at times he's gonna pick and choose his spots when he wants to be aggressive. But to our sort of lack of a better way to explain it, our fears as a defensive guys, I don't know if they're ever going to be that ultra aggressive defense because I do believe it is a organizational philosophy. I mean, we've been under this Vic Fangio sort of defense for the last 4 or 5 years since Jonathan Gannon. Like all these guys are Fangio disciples, and now we have the mastermind. So I don't know how aggressive we're going to see the defense be, but it was good to see it Sunday.
Two things, man. I think you got to find out what kind of players you got in these young guys.
I love it. Yeah.
I don't like to see a guy get hurt. I don't want Slay to be hurt.
Sure.
But I think it's good that we get a chance to see what Isaiah Rodgers can be. I think it's good that we get. Yeah. I think it's good that we get a chance to see what he brings to the table. That competition is good for you. But I also think it's good for Vic Fangio to put these guys in situations. Like when we play Cincinnati, I understand. It's Joe Burrow. It's T. Higgins. It's Jamar Chase. Okay? But I got to figure out whether my guys are going to compete against the best of the best, because if the intent is to get to the playoffs and hopefully get to the Super Bowl, listen, this isn't the best quarterback. This isn't going to be the greatest or the best quarterback wide receiver tandem you're going to see. Right. Now, right. and their offensive line is garbage, so it's going to present
to your point. If you're going to play against teams like Detroit, Green Bay, teams like that, no, you're right. You got to challenge them. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. You got to let them go out there and swim and learn. You got to let them. That's what I love about Quinyon Mitchell. I love the fact that he's been in there since day one. Let him take his lumps. He hasn't taken very many lumps, so he's proven why he was a first-round draft pick. I agree with you on that. I think you got to trust the guys that you have in position, and quite frankly, you want to see if they want to compete against those guys.
Absolutely.
You want to see if they want to compete against those guys. So yeah.
Well, listen, hey, Ike, what's the only way you get diamonds? You got to put it under pressure. You got to put it under pressure, and you got to put it under fire, right? You got to put it under heat. So in order for you to figure out whether you got one or not, at some point in time, you might as well. It's better to put them under the pressure and under the heat, under the fire now, than for us to get into that situation, in January and find out that they can't handle it. Yeah. Because at some point in time, that's going to happen. At some point in time, you always forced to step out of your comfort zone and do some things as a coordinator that you might not necessarily want to do. I want to know now. I want to know early in the season what kind of dogs I got. Do I got Rottweilers and Pit Bulls, or do I got Chihuahuas and Poodles? I need to know. I need to know now, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. And quite frankly, what's the point of putting self-limitations on yourself? You may as well go out and find out what these guys can do, what these kids can do. And to be quite frank, I think the Young Bucks would welcome the challenge. I think they would welcome the challenge. And listen, if they got to take their lumps, you take your lumps and you learn from it. But at least you went out there and competed. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that's something that they need to do. I hope Vic Fangio sort of realizes that too. I hope he realizes that too. So he can let these players grow. You got to let them grow. You got to figure out what you got.
Hey, listen, in closing, too, now, the Eagles are one of the worst defenses in the National Football League right now at turning the ball over. See, I'm of the opinion that turnovers come because, you're forcing the action. Like, when we talk about turnovers, we talk about them, from a force multiplier standpoint. Ain't no offensive player just handing you the ball because, they want you to get a turnover. You're getting a turnover.
You're taking it.
Yes. You're taking it away. So you got to force the action. The more aggressive that they play, in my opinion, the more turnovers they're going to be able to get. The more passive you play, the less likely you are to turn the football over. And that's what we've seen over the first 4 weeks. We almost had the Rook almost had his first interception. And I ain't mad at C.J. Gardner-Johnson, because you want to know something? At least he got there. How many times did that guy in center field never get there and our guy gets beat? So I'm not mad at him. I know the Rook was mad, but his day gonna come. He gonna get
He'll
2,
get
3,
it.
maybe 4 of them this year because he's just that good, man.
Well, hell, he didn't have his hand on the ball every week. It seems like
Yeah.
he almost gets one every week. So yeah, and I want to see I want to see Sidney Brown come back. I want to see what he looks like when he comes back. They add him in that secondary somewhere. You know, he's a heat-seeking missile, so
No doubt.
He can be a little out of control, but I'd rather have to tell you to slow it down a little bit than have to try to get you to pick it up. So yeah, I can't wait to watch him play too.
Hey, listen, man, I can't wait to, get him back, not only from the level of play that he brings and the tenacity he brings, but also I'm just a big believer in when you got a bunch of young guys, it's creating as much competition as you can, because the cream always going to rise to the top, and the players that really want playing time and the players really want play, they're going to show out. The ones that don't, they'll fade away, and you'll know exactly who they are.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right, my man. Listen, we could go on for hours, man. You know how we do, man.
Yes,
I'm going to let you roll up out of here. I always appreciate your time and your insights. I know my viewers do as well, man.
No doubt, bro. Anytime you need me, I'm here. Appreciate it.
All right, my man.
Yep.
All right, y'all. That's the show for tonight. We're going to wrap right there. Again, we'll be back here next week, same place, same time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like, share, and comment as well. Got a plethora of things going on the Seth Joyner Show channel on YouTube. Just a reminder, we got the pre and post game show on Sunday. We'll be on from 11:30 to 12:30 with the pregame show. Mark Farzetta, Derek Gunn, and myself. Then the pregame will be right after, right back here on the channel for 90 minutes. And then if you missed the Seth Joyner Show throughout the week, it'll be right here on the channel. You can log in right here and take a look at it. All right. We're going to bounce up out of here. Go Birds. Let's go down. Let's go up to New York and get that W. As always, be good to each other and take care of each other. But most important, make sure you love each other. Peace out, Philly.
Most people don't know how to get the care they need. The experts at Stay at Home Care can help. Before choosing a caregiver or family member for your care, you need to apply for the Home Care Program. The application process can be complicated. Stay at Home Care can help you navigate through every step. Once approved, your caregiver or family member will receive guaranteed weekly pay, a variety of medical benefits options, paid holidays, paid vacation, and overtime pay. Call Stay at Home Care, here to help every step of the way.
This is Seth Joyner, top analyst for the Birds. I've also analyzed the best auto dealerships, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Get to Davis Honda now and fall into savings. Lease a new 2024 Prologue EV for just $299 per month. See why Davis Honda continues to win outstanding awards for sales and service, including the highest award from Honda, the President's Award, 2 years in a row. Fall into savings right now at Davis Honda. Feel the Davis difference at Davis Honda in Burlington.
I'm Seth Joyner, and I drive a Davis Honda.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
The Excite Center at Parks Casino, the region's hottest live entertainment venue. Check out your favorite concerts, comedy, boxing, MMA, all at the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. Don't miss Funny Man JB Smoove on Saturday, September 14th, plus Straight No Chaser on Friday, October 18th. Don't miss these two exciting headliners, only at the Excite Center inside Parks Casino. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Tickets on sale now.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.